Hey everybody, Allison Gardner here. There are so many different thoughts and ideas just racing through my head, and I process best when I verbalize, and I have hit a point where I sort of feel like there's not anyone to talk to. And so I'm going to bring it here. And I'm going to explain a little bit about why I feel like I can't bring it anywhere else. And I'm going to try and do so with a lighthearted spin. I am kind of feeling a bit overcooked today. My fridge died this morning. Well, I think it died this morning. The past few days, I love ice cream, so I generally have a carton of ice cream in the freezer. And I've noticed over the past few weeks and a month or more that my ice cream hasn't been as frozen as I generally would like it, like soup. Think like you stuck it in the microwave, from the freezer in the microwave for 15 seconds and it like gets soupy. That was the kind of ice cream that I was pulling out of my freezer. And then I noticed that the ice cream had completely melted and refrozen. Like there was nothing solid in it left. It had completely melted. There was, and then it had refrozen on the bottom of the carton. And so I just kind of, like I knew it was there, but I was sick and I was tired and I was stressed out. And it was just one of those things that I'm like, my milk hasn't gone bad sitting in the fridge yet. So we're just rolling with it. And then yesterday, and it was ice cream, so I'm like, it has a higher temperature of when it turns to liquid, a lower temperature, I don't know. Anyway, whatever it is, the transition from solid to liquid is different for ice cream than for, say, a frozen pizza. But yesterday I noticed that when I pulled a little frozen singles deep dish pizza out of the freezer, that it was bendy. And at that point, my food's not freezing. And it's not just that it's cycling, it's that this has been going on for a month. And this morning I just realized that like, now was the time when I had to do something about it. And so I contacted them and put in a maintenance order and everything. And I think they came and fixed it because my fridge is now in a different place than it was when I was there this morning. And things are frozen again. So I hope so. Either that or it's like when you have a problem with your car and you take it to the mechanic and the mechanic can't find anything. I'm hoping it's not that. But that was just one of a variety of things that have ended up on my plate. And the reason why I have a hard time that I'm processing here instead of somewhere else is because there comes a point where it doesn't matter how heavy it is for you, other people just are over it. You can only process the same things with other people before it's just too much. And I do this with other people, that it's just like, come on, just get over it. But there are certain things that you don't just get over. Work is still very painful. And what's funny is like, I even know that there are no new triggers happening, but it was that pattern that had built over time of just things being so painful, and that even though there's no new stuff, there was also never any resolution. And so because there was never any resolution, it's really hard to process it because my brain is still in fight or flight, afraid of what could happen. And because like that conversation that I had, that I said that I had months ago, and then that conversation that I had a month ago, nothing came of any of it. And so my life is just continuing on in this same path of having tons to do and I know that I could say no, but whenever I think about all of the things, in my head is just this spaghetti bowl where all of the things are connected and all of the things go together and one idea connects to another idea that connects to another idea. And they're just all in this mess. And so for me to say no to one thing pulls on a string over here and pulls on a noodle over here and pulls on the meatball there, and it loses its place and it topples onto the table and then there's sauce everywhere. Okay, I might be a little melodramatic in this point, but for me it doesn't feel like saying no will solve a problem. It will just create more. And so I'm still, and because no one is talking and because no one is working this all out, I'm just in the middle of it trying to make it work. And I've processed with family and I've talked to people. But that first time they're like, oh, that's so hard, and oh, that's so rough, and like, let's game plan it. What can we do? But by the third time that it's still eating you alive, everybody else is over it, and they're like, yeah, that was like so last month, like what's going on? And it's so hard because I just can't shake it and I don't know what to do about it. And then wow, I told myself I was not gonna cry. Okay, let's handle this a little bit differently. The person that I love is struggling, and it's not the everything is dark, really nasty energy is around kind of struggling. It's just this thin veil, or a very thick veil, as the case may be, that just is there. And there's this distance that's there, and this lack of communication that's just there. And he's struggling, and I have no idea what to do with it. But when you talk to people and you're like, it's just hard, they're just kind of like, well, is there this going on? Is there this going on? Is there this going on? It's like, well, no, like none of the big stuff's going on. It's not good. And it's just this itch that I can't scratch. And I have no idea how to explain it, but there is the real, authentic spouse who is there for me and shows up for me and is just there that I know. And the person that's currently living in my house isn't that. And I don't know what to do with it. And I want to get angry and I want to get frustrated because of the spoon of peanut butter with honey left on the counter because it was the middle of the night and he was tired and he was thinking about other stuff. But it's a mess that I clean up the next morning. And I know logically that should not bug me. But it makes me so angry because it's that and crumbs on the floor and just that distance. Those are all just symbols of the distance of the not quite rightness. But I have no idea how to fix the not quite rightness. And so I get angry at the obvious symptoms of the unobvious thing. And so I go to work and it's unresolved. And I come home and it's unresolved. And every night at 10 o'clock, when I know it's time to go to bed, and I know it's time to do the next, that it's time to get ready for bed and it's time to go to bed so I have energy for the next day. And every time that I've ever been scared, and every time that I've ever been frustrated, and every time that all those other things have ever built up just come rushing up and overwhelm me. And so I sit on the couch and I scroll through some mindless thing. because I'm afraid of reliving that thing again tomorrow. And I tell myself to be brave, and I tell myself to just get over it, and I tell myself to process it. But years of processing things don't go away in a night, and the only way through is through. The only thing that you can do is to unpile all of the stuff that you have shoved down and to write it out, or to cry it out, or to pray it out. And I learned something really fascinating this last week. I love